Hello and welcome to our webinar today. I'm glad so many people joined for this great topic on Linux, AIX, and everything on IBM Power. So we do kick off the webinar today here with a number of management pack for Microsoft System Center Operations Manager. So the webinar is in a format that we assume that you have some kind of understanding of System Center Operations Manager, and we dig into the depths of basically monitoring non-Windows, non-x86 workloads, basically. So that is basically the scope for here for today. So the session is being recorded, so also for those who are watching the recording afterwards, warm welcome. So for those who are in the live sessions, which is really the advantage of the live sessions, feel free to use the Q&A area to put in questions, and me or one of on the people of my team here will answer the questions, or we also have some time later in the end. All right, let's get started. So I have a very few slides in the beginning about NiCE. So we've been around since a long time, and we headquartered in Germany. I'm in Leonberg, in close to Stuttgart, and it's basically the southern Germany. And we run operations in the United States and here in EMEA. Besides management packs for IBM Power operating systems, we do many others. Like on other hypervisors as well, like VMware, and then databases, and also some of the cloud products like like Microsoft 365. All right, we'll start right away in. So with the NiCE AIX management pack. So a quick background on that. So because many of you know that there is a management pack from Microsoft for AIX, but for those who've been working with SCOM 2022, they noticed that's basically no longer available there, and there's no support for SCOM 2022 and AIX. So we as a partner, and we for Microsoft, working with SCOM for over like 15, 18, 20 years now. So we thought this is a really poor picture with not having AIX management pack on there. So we spoke to Microsoft and basically agreed that we continue developing the management packs for AIX, so under our own name here. So we actually took that possibility to actually make it a lot better, because in the end, the AIX management pack for Microsoft was lacking quite a number of features which should have been there, I think, many years ago. So we worked with a number of customers who use one of our management packs to build really like the better AIX management, so if you like. So the AIX management pack is basically what you know from the Microsoft AIX management pack, plus it puts on top, we call it AIX extended management pack. So in the basic idea, it's the management the agent, the OMI agents, basically, which are published or pushed then to the AIX servers. And it is basically a newer build, currently with the latest patches as well. Or, as you know, the sources for this are open source. They're on GitHub. So, and we basically take them from GitHub and bring them in our build factory and continue to develop on them. So there have been some discussions on pushing basically this information back to GitHub, but at this point, the information or the code is a branch basically we maintain from the GitHub repository. But then obviously we build on top of that, and we have additional monitoring for LPARS, logical volumes, NTP, cron, and I will cover them in a moment. So basically those features that we've been looking for already many years ago. Oh, sorry. So from the architecture, this might be not very surprising to you. This is basically exactly what the Microsoft AIX Management Pack has. So the same ports are used, the same user accounts are used. There's literally no change in the architecture. The only add-on, which is here is on the right side, which is, we call it AIX Extension Management Pack. So this is an extension of what's been in there. So as you know, there are different providers. So we have the actual OMI server component. So well, it's might be a bit misleading, but the agent actually is a server. So it's a server process that has agents attaching to that server process, and that altogether makes basically up the agent. And the requests basically come from the management server, and requests from the OMI server, basically from the process, the data which is required for monitoring, like for example, CPU uses, memory usage, and those different data or metrics are provided by these providers, which are plugged in here basically into the agent, and then deliver the data. So in fact, that is the only communication channel that is required. Some customers actually don't even use SSH connections. That's required for setup, for task, and so on. But in theory, that is actually not required here. So, and as you know, it's a secured by certificates, the communication, and it is really rock solid here. And yeah, even if there's a failure in one of the management servers, the agent can report the data to a different management server in the same resource pool, which is part of the management group, and then redirect the data to a different management server. So basically, this is the architecture. So, and the little piece here on the side, this is the extension. So we thought about extending it when customers required monitoring like additional process monitoring, or monitoring like stale logical volumes, or for example, monitor if volume groups are in sync state, or certificate monitoring, or NTP monitoring. So there are a couple of monitors basically implemented that do this, and I'll give you an overview in a moment. But that is basically in this extension here. They're actually script-based, so in the end, this extension has a number of scripts at the end. So I will actually dive into a quick demo right away from here. So this is the directory structure here, and it has a var directory, it has an op directory, and in the op directory we have a couple of scripts. So these scripts are basically deployed with the management pack and regarded as instrumentation. So and they are also secured. They only can be modified by a super user, so it doesn't pose a security risk. You can also analyze and look at the script, basically to be open, that you know what is part of those scripts. So there are no secrets. So it's basically the provider which uses these scripts, does those scripts, and they do all kind of functionality like nmon, read-write test. So basically the read-write test monitor, for example, has a file on the file system which is really written and then read back, so it can really verify, like in terms of a robot, if something can be written on the file system, because anything that uses another command to check might fail unless you really test the write and read process. So that has been added here. I'm not going to go through all these scripts, but in the end, I just basically want to point out that these are deployed to the systems, and then by this extension on the very right, executed. So what is it actually what we've added? So we've added some more process monitoring, which we think is standard process monitoring. Not all of them are enabled by default, but some of them are. So we have a reference guide document which lists all of them. Also, this AIX extension management pack is a separate management pack. So if you just basically want the base as you have it now from Microsoft, you can just take the AIX, the NiCE AIX management pack, and then basically if you want to use the additional functionality, import also the AIX extension management pack. There are sometimes additional pseudo requirements in there, but those are documented well. So beside the processes, we, as mentioned, the NTP client, the certificate monitoring, monitoring of the LPAR frames, basically the actual LPAR, which is running on the PowerVM system. In terms of physical CPU and vCPU, then we do analyze stale logical volumes, which might be on there. And well, we also have a performance counter for the number of cron processes, and you can also put an alerting to that in case you like to have an alert on that. And then we do have the read and write test, as I explained, plus some additional ones. The good thing about this is it's an extensible architecture. So if you require anything else to be monitored, which can be either monitored via log files, scripts, or commands, or process monitoring, it can be easily added to the management pack. So this basically comes out of the box. It has full support. When I created the slides for today's sessions, I actually was thinking to put like a photo of our data center on there where all the IBM Power systems are there. So we do have an extensive IBM Power Lab with PowerVM, HMCs, NIM, and all the other components which belong to that, just to make sure that all the different flavors are tested. So also we decided to actually go back to even an older version, to AIX 7.1. So what you see on here is the current supported number of system combinations, either with System Center Operations Manager or AIX 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3. And indeed, we also verified this with the Azure Managed Instance. I think this is a very exotic case, but we just put it in here for completeness as well. All right, that's about the AIX management pack. So, and if you have any questions now or later, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll pick them up later. When we're talking about AIX, there are a good number of clients that also use the PowerHA management pack. Basically, when we work on AIX, then we do actually also work with PowerHA in some cases. So, and in the PowerHA environment, we do actually have a number of resources we discover. So we discover the resource groups, the volume groups, the PowerHA file systems, all of that, and also build us up in a health model in SCOM to be able to actually show like really a cluster solution here. So so in case a volume is kind of moved from one AIX system to another, then we can actually alert on that. We can give an information where the resource groups are running, and have full insight in how the PowerHA environment is working. We do have performance monitoring as well, so I will show this in a short demo in a moment. It is important that we do have, especially for PowerHA, have the product knowledge included there, because PowerHA is more like an exotic piece for those even who use AIX. But so if an alert comes, you want to be sure to understand where it comes. So that is also included. So the full product knowledge is in there. Next, when we did the architecture here for PowerHA, it is also very similar to like all the other management packs. It is basically on the, we have the NiCE AIX agent, or you could also use the Microsoft AIX agent. And then we do import the management packs. From there, we have the instrumentation again. Instrumentation consists of a set of scripts and binaries, in most cases, again, scripts. And those scripts basically have this collector application, and the collector application primarily is made of a binary and a number of scripts that then connect to the PowerHA interface. So using the command line interface on IBM Power, on the AIX system in this case, and take the information, processes, hand it over to the provider. It's just the CLMP, so the cluster management pack provider, which ingested then into the AIX agent. Why cluster management pack? So it's one instrumentation actually for various cluster solutions. So it does not only support PowerHA, but it also supports Veritas VCS, Veritas cluster servers. So it's basically combined because the provider here is merely an interface between the scripts that are collecting the data and forwarding to the agent. The management packs are obviously different because, like, well, they're different cluster solutions. So this is a PowerHA specific solution here, and that does all the alerting. And I'll have a look at that in a moment and show you. There's a discovery which is key, which I will actually right now show in a live demonstration. So I hope the environment can be seen well. So we have here on the left side IBM PowerHA. So if you open the cluster diagram, so we have the actual environment here. So we have here with the dotted lines around, these are the abstract object basically. And this is the resource group. So if we have one resource group, the resource group has two members in here. And within the resource group, we then have the cluster volume, the volume group. So in the volume group then has, like, again here, like volumes. These are the Unix volumes. And in the Unix volumes, we then actually have the file system. So so that's basically all the way onto the bottom. So and here you see at the bottom, this is a file system. The file system has an active node and has a node list, so it actually can move between these different nodes. So if, for example, a failover takes place, the discovery will update with a shorter interval the active node list, and so you always have visibility where your active nodes are running. There's the other view here to consolidate the alerts. Actually, here we will see the same file systems again. So this is a representation basically on the node, and here they're basically grouped together in an abstract view, basically that they don't belong together. Same applies here to the resource group and so on. So then all of these objects obviously have different monitors assigned to that. So we can, for example, look at our cluster on our cluster nodes here, and then we can see the resource groups here. So with this, and then the actual resources which come in here. So let's, for example, if you go to the cluster, we open the Health Explorer. So we see a roll up from one part of this here, and then we have the availability, the processes, and actually the PowerHA license, which has been discovered. And then if you look at the individual nodes, we also have the same number of we have the number of monitors which are here attached to that. Or we can actually go to the resource groups and look at the monitors for the resource groups. See here then primarily monitors around disk usage, and the affinity we added a bit later. It's basically that if you decide that a resource group should be running on one specific node. So let's say you have node A and node B, and a resource should always be running on node A in case, except if it's a disaster case. So what frequently happens that somebody changes, updates, and then doesn't fail it back over to the primary node, so to say. And in this case, you will have an alert that actually the resource group is not running on the correct node, so you can have an alert about that. So the volume groups availability here as well. So if you look at the active alerts, so we have actually one alert that gives us an alert about the read-write fail test. So that we do actually testing if the file system can be read or write. So in case there's an error, this will be displayed, or the volume group quorum has an enabled alert. So if that's also coming up, then it will also give this information. Again, there's detailed information for each of these alerts within the product knowledge here added. So if anything needs to be known about that, that can be looked up there. There are some performance graphs, which are really only around the free space here, which is available on those systems. So you see we have just recently started as a free space, but it helps actually to do the monitoring across a number of nodes. So we can have one view actually on the node, so it doesn't matter if it fails over or not. A challenge is that the actual agent Microsoft is not really cluster aware. So this management pack really makes it a cluster aware monitoring because it basically takes both sides into account. Okay, while we are here on the demo side, I will also cover the AIX part, which I previously mentioned. So I will go to this management group here. So we have the A111, which is the system I earlier showed you here with the instrumentation on here, with the file. So let's look now really in there what's being monitored. So we have the extended management pack also in here. So besides the availability, we also have a new monitor, which is a new heartbeat monitor here, and a new file system read-write test. So this is actually an additional monitor that can be used to have a more detailed view on the heartbeat. So it is what we call it in its instrumentation or provider instrumentation heartbeat. So it actually checks if the data can be provided, because the default heartbeat monitor is merely a ping check, which the system might be reachable, but actually the agent might not be healthy. So we actually have kind of an agent heartbeat monitoring in here. So this actually goes a bit deeper than just the system heartbeat. It's an actually agent heartbeat monitor here. And yeah, obviously it can be configured like with all the other things, like with overrides. So we do have for every monitor something called, we have a match count. So only if 2 consecutive heartbeats are met, then actually an alert is triggered here. So we have the hardware rollup from the file systems here, this is part of the standard management pack. We have this read-write test, which is included. Then we do have the process monitoring. As you can see, these are out of the box disabled. So if you decide you'd like to have the RPC stat server health monitoring, you will need to enable that. Then also for those here these are standard processes that's been also there before, we added them. So those which have an AIX in the front basically come from the extended management pack. In the performance area, we do also have additional monitors on CPU, typically the virtual CPU, physical CPUs, and here as well we have extended monitoring for the process count for the cluster processes, and then monitoring for a number of other things as well. So I'm not going to go into detail. I just want to give you an overview. If you're interested in more details, feel free to go to nice.de, log into the portal, and there you can download the reference guide, which basically has the full list of rules and monitors that are included in this management pack. All right, so that's from AIX part. So let's go back and move over to the next management pack. Oh, we've got the PowerHA MP support matrix still, so you see which combinations are supported. So if anything is missing there, we can also add this as well. All right. Next comes up is the Linux Power Management Pack. So the Linux Power Management Pack is currently in release process. So there will be available an update next week. AIX Management Pack we released in the first quarter of this year. PowerHA was also earlier released, and the Linux Management Pack is now coming in May. Again, it's very similar to all the other management packs. What we've added in this case is ButterFS support or BTRFS support for the BTRFS file system, which been added. So BitTorrent file system here, which is available on SUSE and Red Hat. So different distribution make different use of it, but there's been never a monitoring ability with SCOM before, so we basically made this available. There's one note: in case you're using BTRFS on x86 on Linux and need the monitoring for that, that's also available. It's just not covered in part of this webinar, but there is BTRF support also for x86 in case that is as needed. Again, this is based on the OMI open agent and the providers. It has the typical full sudo support. It's secured. It can be locked down. You actually don't need any sudoers entries if you don't want to give this. So it's fulfills the same security requirements as all the other management packs. Here you see again the architecture, similar than those before, just now running on Linux on Power. And here as well, like the support metrics. So we focus really here on Red Hat 8 right now and /15. So we do a /12 as well. But the older ones, they were also supported by Microsoft. But with Red Hat 8, yes, there's you basically can use this management pack in this case. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Before I get to Z-Linux, I will actually show you a quick demo. Right, so we have three systems here. So we covered the first one, which was the AIX one. We go now to this one, which is healthy here, which is the PPC64LE system. This is the L105, and I also will log into that. L105. So here we are on the system, and we see this is actually Linux on Power, which is actually getting more and more popular. So while AIX is more in decline from when we look at the operating system count, Linux on Power is really taking over and is growing a lot. This also has to do with SAP HANA. Many clients and customers do run SAP HANA on those systems because it's still the most powerful combination to run HANA databases on Power is basically on Linux. And if this is a use case, if you have HANA in your environment, then this is a really good choice to look at that. All right, so we can actually go here. It actually fits into the same folder view as those that you know. So we have the Linux servers in here, and now we have two additional state views added here. These are the BTRF disk pool and the BTRF subvolumes. So these BTRF subvolumes, which are in here, they have a number of specific parameters because this is can work with snapshots, this file systems. It has a couple of advantages. So, well, this is the reason why it is used. So you can actually, with this management pack, make use of that. And in this case, we actually can look at the monitors that are available here. So we do look at the so-called reference free space or the exclusive free space that can be monitored here. And this is, up to my knowledge, also the only management pack in the market that is currently doing this here. So again, here you have the product knowledge. As you can see here, it explains basically how the monitor works, and then you can also change thresholds as you're used to with the override. You can change the interval from 5 minutes to anything else. Also, we do have different possibilities, either to a threshold in megabytes or in percentage. So because we've been constantly having this discussion, some customers like percentage, some like megabytes, some like gigabytes, and so on. So we kind of offer this both in one monitor here at that place. So besides the BTFS, which comes separate, the Linux management pack here is very standard. So it has the same number of monitors and rules that are part of the x86 management packs, basically. So disk, CPU, memory, and so on. So that is basically the scope of this management pack. Exactly, only the BTFS, as I said, is added in this case here. Yeah, so you can see, and if you have additional custom management packs for x86 on top, you can also use the same logic on top of those, so they are fully compatible with that, and it's also supported. Performance count is also the same, so we do have the performance counters here that are typically there. You swap usage, memory, and CPU time, paging, and so on. So that is part of this management pack as well. You can do log monitoring, so log monitoring is part of that as well. So, yeah, you basically configure your custom rules for that. Next, we go to the Z Linux management pack. Again, this is it's so the management pack itself. How the functionality is in the scope from what I've shown you from the Linux on Power management pack. The difference here again is the architecture or the system where it's running on. So the hypervisor. So in the backend, we basically have a mainframe. So this is well, we don't have a mainframe in our office here, so it's like a huge system, and you have the ZVM basically on there, and then on the mainframe running this Linux system, will typically known also by IBM Linux 1. We do get our systems by our IBM partner program. So we are IBM partner since over 20 years. So we are part of this partner program and partner with them in development for applications on ZVM on this architecture. So this is the S390X architecture here, what we're doing. So we have basically a set of build and test servers in this environment, so we can actually then build and test and verify all the functionality on those systems. Sometimes there are code changes required, because when you take the open source project, it's not just well, compiling, I say, even the compile process is really complicated because it has so many components that we need to fit into each other. What the really challenge is here to test and to verify that all is functioning. So that's why in this area we also quite limited from the support perspective. So we focus on Red Hat 8 here. We can do others, but due to the effort it takes to set up the systems, verify all the different components like SSL, OpenSSL libraries, C++ runtimes, and so on. So it's really like the most scope is like doing testing and verification of the entire system. So so we focus really on Red Hat 8 at this point, but if you have a /15 for that or going to Red Hat 9, this is not a problem. So we can then on request verify that. We typically follow as the customers follow. So our first customs of this going to Red Hat 9. So we actually are working with them on also preparing this. So this will come in future, but it's like once it goes on here, we actually then have fully verified and have systems that are available for our support for that. All right, so here, even if you're on this Linux system for Z, see, that's not responding. Let me just get. It's not responding right now. Let's go to the system part here and go here to the Linux systems. So this is basically the Z Linux system or S390X system, and we have also the same information available here. So we do see we have a problem with swap space on this one, so typically alerts on that. So and the monitors that are part of that. So there's the hardware monitoring again for the file systems. Then we have configuration monitoring and availability monitoring for the different areas here. So again, we have the standard processes as we have seen them in AIX before, or availability of inodes and free space, disk health, and so on. You can also use a custom management pack on top of that. So if you have like your custom scripts, or if you have a log file that's residing on the system, then you can do that. About about all our customers that are using that are from financial industry. So there's one service provider, but also providing financial services to financial industries. So this is very typical because it's so close to the host system. So it's typically a kind of a middleware in online banking or some other transaction systems that is used for Linux then deployments. So yeah, so the agent works the same way. So you can also use the same types of run as accounts here. So the configuration actually you're doing is like you define your accounts here. So we have a specific user here, but that is just due to type how we deployed it. We have the profiles, so you assign that to the profiles, and then you can also use the regular tasks. So if you, for example, use our Linux system here, then I actually check, for example, memory information. So let me see if this answers now in time. So run the get the memory request information, and goes out to this Linux system to collect the information. So and see when it comes back here. There's a geo difference. So the systems is in US. Well, let's hope this is answering quickly. Meanwhile, I can try to log into this system again here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to restart the session here. So to log into this here. So I'm okay. Just looking for the password for this. There we go. Right. So we are logged on, and what I actually wanted to show you earlier is basically that here we have the agent components installed, and also the Microsoft and the OMI directories. So that's the same as on an x86 system. So that seems to be still running here. So we leave it running here. It might take some time to come back. What we could do this also on this one. Let's try to run this here, which is actually in the same network. Here we get an immediate response with the memory information on this back. Same should be possible for the AIX system here as well. Let's run this as well here. You also get here the memory information back. All right. So with that, so it's I just want to come to some tips and tricks here, because we've been using Linux on various type of platforms and building on top of Linux over 15 years now, and we frequently run into. Still, we also run into challenges when agents go gray in SCOM. They don't have the status. So, and we see that it still boils down to kind of 3 key problems where we see problems. So especially when onboarding. So and I listed them up on here. So and those who are on the call and who are using that, they're probably all familiar with those. So, but I just want to point them out. So because we typically, when onboarding something, there might be DNS issues. So this is really something we have challenges with, also when working in gateway systems with SCOM gateways. So SCOM gateways work fine. So just be sure when you use SCOM gateways to always, to make it really high available, you need actually to have three gateways in each subnet for that. So because there's a primary, a secondary, and a voting member. Otherwise, if you have just 2, there's eventually no takeover of the second one if one fails. So, but then you can create a resource pool and add those systems to the resource pool. But again, then DNS needs to be fully working. And but in that case, once it's onboarded, that's typically not a problem, but during the onboarding process, the number one is issues DNS. Second is challenges with ports. So ports might get blocked or need to be opened. If not opened, there's a utility, in case you don't know. It's like this is well, it's a graphical utility. Obviously, it's also a part of the command line tool. That's the from sys internal. It's port query, which is really helpful. So obviously on Linux system, it's much easier, but on Windows, sometimes you look for the right tool to use. Obviously, we have netstat or traceRT or some others, but that is actually one that you can use. So we're picking one system, we see it's available, or we can use the standard communication port here. It's also working if you have, well, you can actually change that even, but if you do that, then you will get an alert. There's no answering on that port actually. So it's a helpful tool that I just want to highlight, at least I'm using to review things. Certificates. Yes, if you're in the deployment wizard, or depending how you sign certificates, that might also be a challenge. So sometimes the communication fails, and yeah, it's a bit tricky to troubleshoot. So for those who don't recall, there's the best way to do that actually is using the enable ops manager module logging. There is less and less information because Microsoft, well, it's actually not on the current documentation anymore. But how this actually works is, in case you don't know this, is basically go to the system, the management server, in the Windows temp directory, create a file, just a simple file called enable ops manager module logging. Once you created that flag file, the flagging, the tracing is enabled. There's no restart required or anything. It will simply just try to log everything that it can, and all what it's logged is basically via the communication layer with the Linux or AIX environments. So I did a couple of traces here before, so I did this yesterday, so you can actually see what's going on. So it is really helpful and detailed, so you actually see what commands actually go across from the management server to the system. So you can analyze clearly what commands are brought over to the Linux systems here in this case. So we have a restart here, and we have see here that there was a certificate copied over. So if, for example, certificate signing fails, you can analyze, maybe you haven't set the sudos correctly or something else in this command has failed. So you can actually take this and analyze. Another option is that actually to use the sudoers log on the system, so which audits all the commands that go through, but they actually have this from a Linux perspective. So in this case here, you actually get it from the Windows side to see what commands are pushed over. This is actually the write action, command action write log. So there is also the upload log, which has the files which are transferred basically between the systems. So we actually see we transfer here the agent package. So that was the agent is a remote agent installation. So in the remote agent installation, actually we see how the package was pushed there. Then we do permission changes, and elevation happens, and then basically the certificate signing is done in the next steps. We have the probe action here as well, and we have one which is also interesting is the certificate here, because you actually do have the certificate in here as well. So so the certificate is basically not transferred via SCP, but it's basically via text. Then it's signed and then written back into the PEM file. So, but the whole process basically can be really tracked down and analyzed by just using this one flag file. That also applies to other tasks you might be running on the system. So even if you do here the science update certificate task, and those, they will be updating right away on the system. All right, so I'm coming towards 45 minutes, towards the end of the session here today. So I will just like to look if there are some questions actually. Just check into the chat and the question area. Yes, there's one question on the AIX agents, like towards the compatibility with the Microsoft AIX agent. So the question is, do you support the Microsoft AIX agent side by side with the NiCE AIX agent? No, that is not supported. So you have to actually decide either for the Microsoft AIX agent or the NiCE AIX agent. So, however, if you have like additional management packs that go on top of the AIX agent, you can change the references, and then you will actually also be able to use the NiCE agent. But a side by side at the same time is not possible. There's a question on the licensing structure. So we basically, for all management packs, we license by instance. So we do not count any cores or sockets or anything hardware related. We simply count the number of instances. So of instances basically, and start at I think for a perpetual license at 500 euro for per instance. And this is perpetual, a one-time fee plus then support on top of that. All right, I think I don't see any further questions for now. Let me just double check here in the chat. No, that's it. So if there are no further questions, we didn't use the whole hour. So we really love the Linux part, the SCOM part, and bring it both together. So which is really important for us, and also in terms of the community. So feel free to join the SCOM-a-thon in 2 weeks' time, where we all the community gets together around SCOM. So, and if you have questions, I put the contacts up here. There will be also a small follow-up mailer to you with the slides. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I wish you a good rest of the day. And thanks for being part. Thank you for listening. Bye.